Hello, welcome to my bookshelf, and today I'll be doing my holiday book haul. I'm calling it that because I got these books over the holiday. Some of them are genuinely gifts from the holidays, but I would say most of them are actually books I picked up myself. That all being said, let's just jump on in. The first book that I hauled is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, and I think that everyone knows this book at this point. It was turned into a very popular Hulu series. I haven't seen it yet, but that's just because I don't have Hulu, and I don't know anyone that has Hulu, so I am sadly deprived of the show, but I've heard really good things about it. I have heard kind of mixed things about the story itself, though, so I am really curious to see what I think of it personally. I know that it's a dystopian and that it's set in a world where women, I think that their main role in the society is just to bear children for the men, but I could be wrong exactly on the logistics of all that. That's just my understanding of it. But either way, I think that most people are aware of this book now at this point. So I'm very excited to, read this almost classic book at this point. So it's in my collection now at least. Even though it's not the best edition, I can at least read it at my leisure at some point. The next book that I hauled was actually a gift. So I really don't know that much about it, and it's a manga. It's called Origami Stray God. What I do know about it, based on the back of this, is that our main character is this god in this universe, and this god doesn't have a lot of worshippers, doesn't have a shrine, not exactly doing the best at their job, if you will. And we just follow this character, and that's really all I know about it. But it's an interesting premise, to say the least, so I'm intrigued. I personally haven't read that much manga, so I haven't heard anything about this, but that means nothing because I'm not really into that world at this point, so I'm very ignorant of the popular one. So I don't really know if this is a popular one or not, but I'm going to read it and see what I think at the very least. Okay, the next two books that I hauled, I am going to avoid trying to pronounce because I can guarantee that I'm going to butcher most of it, and it's just not going to be good. So the first of which is this one. This is a novel. This is written in German. This is the author, by the way, who is gorgeous. I guess her name is Lori Nelson Spielman. And I honestly don't know anything about it. One of my goals for this year is to actually read some of my German books. This probably will not be one of the ones I pick up because it is, a rather big book. And I'm kind of at the basic stage of German. I took German for a long time, but I never got proficient in it, and I really want to become proficient in it. It's one of my goals in my lifetime, and so I need to push myself to do that, and so that's one of my goals for this year. So that's why I wanted to get more of these books, but I do hope to read some German books this year. Probably not this one, but I am very excited. So that being said, I don't really know what it's about. I recognize some of the words on the back, but not enough to really tell you much about it, other than our main character is a TV moderator, and she gets some kind of letter, I think. That's pretty much all I got so far from the back. I really love this cover, though. I will say that. So I found this at Half Price Books, and they will sometimes have some really fun foreign books in there, and I'm always really excited to snatch them up. So this is one that I found, and I don't know, it looks really cool. It was actually published only a couple years ago, 2015. So it's a fairly new German book, so that's exciting. Hopefully one day I'll read this, and I'll have to let you know what I think about that. The next one is also a German book, but this one is actually not fiction. It's nonfiction. So basically what the title is about, as you can kind of see from the picture on the cover, is that men and women have a hard time communicating with each other, and this book is supposed to help explain some of the problems and probably how to resolve some of these issues, why men don't listen, and why women have a hard time maybe explaining themselves in a way that men can understand, that kind of thing. And this is kind of cool. It has little pictures in it and stuff, even though it's a nonfiction book, and there's I guess a graph there. It just seems really interesting, in and of itself. I love psychology and I love these kinds of books just in English, so I'm excited to read a German book of this nature. And so the topic is interesting to me, and hopefully it'll be an interesting way to help me learn German as well, because I have a lot of fictional books, but I don't really have many nonfiction books in German, and obviously there's two very different styles of writing, and so I'm very curious to read this and hopefully learn some more words that I probably won't learn in the other books as much. So it'll be interesting, and I can learn something other than just German while trying to read this. So I'm very excited about it. I love how intense the cover is with them like yelling at each other. It's great. So those are my German books, so that's exciting. Moving on to English books. This next one I had never heard of, but the premise sounds really interesting, and I love this cover. It's called The Whole Golden World by Christina Wriggle. So you can see the cover in its glory. I really love it. I think it's really pretty, and I think it's very fitting for the holidays, the Christmas season. So the premise of this book is told in 3 different perspectives. So the first of which is this 17-year-old girl who, I'm not sure the details of it because it doesn't say, which I'm appreciating because I don't like being spoiled on things, but she has some kind of relationship with her teacher that is inappropriate. I don't know how far it goes, but either way, it's some kind of inappropriate thing where, you know, there's a court case happening because of this. So we get her perspective, we get this 17-year-old's mother's perspective on the situation, and we also get the teacher's wife. So yeah, not only is this teacher involved with the student, which is in and of itself not something that is, you know, ethical, but also just extra horrible because he's married. I mean, cheating is never, don't do that. Don't do that. Even if you have a horrible relationship, end the relationship. Then you can move on with someone else. But even in this case, don't move on with your student. That's very inappropriate on so many levels. Don't do it. But anyway, I'm really curious about this. I think it'll be really interesting to read a book from 3 different perspectives, especially on a case like this. I think that, you know, sadly, there are a lot of cases involving this kind of thing that have happened in the past. So this is, you know, somewhat relevant issue, and I'm very intrigued to see what this book has to say about it and just like this story it takes us on. So I'm really excited about it. Okay, the next book I hauled, I also really enjoy this cover. It's called Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jessie Andrews. As you can see, the cover, and even the back is kind of fun. And like the inside of the book is kind of fun too. Like it has a different, I don't know, it's just got like a really fun, like, you know, like look at that chapter. I just think it's interesting. I really don't know anything about this book. I'm pretty sure it was turned into a movie at some point, so we'll see how it's done in here. Hopefully it's done well. But either way, I am glad to finally have it in my collection, and I really love, like, even the spine is fun. It just looks fun. So hopefully it'll be a fun, entertaining read at the very least. The next book is a nonfiction book, and it is Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert. And again, I think most people have heard about this book, me included. This was turned into a movie starring Julia Roberts, which I haven't seen either. I do love Julia Roberts, so I probably will have to watch that movie at some point after I read this. And if you don't know, so this chronicles this woman's journey. She just kind of decides to go out and kind of like explore the world a little bit and try to learn things from these other cultures. She goes to Italy, India, and Indonesia, and she learns like 3 different things from each of them. You can guess which is which. And it's just like, yeah, it chronicles her experience in all 3 places and what she learned from it and how she grew as a person. So I just think this is a really cool concept and idea, and I'm really glad that she wrote about it so we can like live like vicariously through her in this story. But yeah, so I'm very curious to see if I like it or not, but at the very least have it in my collection. So I finally have that book now. The next book I have is Who Could That Be at This Hour by Lemony Snicket. This is the first book in All the Wrong Questions, the series. And I love A Series of Unfortunate Events, also by Lemony Snicket. When I found out he wrote another series, I was like, I am on board. I do not care what it's about, and I honestly don't know what it's about. I would say based on, like, you know, the series title, All the Wrong Questions, I'm going to guess that it's like a mystery, a detective story. We'll find out. I don't really know, but I love Lemony Snicket, so I'm really curious about this story. So now I finally have the first book. I randomly picked out the 3rd book in the series from a different thrift store previously. Hopefully I can find the 2nd one and so on. I'm gonna have to wait probably to start this book, this series I should say, but I'm really happy to have it. Any of these books would be great because I think it'll be a lot of fun. Okay. And the last 3 books, I might as well just show you all at once because they're all part of the same series. And it's so funny because I found them all at different places. Like, I did not find all 3 of them at the same thrift store. And it's Artemis Fowl 3, 4, and 5. Yay! So I think it's safe now to, read Artemis Fowl. I've only read the first book in this series eons ago. I vaguely remember it. I do remember enjoying it, but that's about it. So now that I have, I think all of the books in the series, if not close to it, I can actually start reading the series because I have the first and second one from previous hauls. So this is perfect. I'm excited to finally, I guess, own this collection. So just for clarity's sake, I have the Eternity Code, the Opal Deception, and the Lost Colony, all by Ian Colfer. So that all being said, that is my book haul. I'm excited for most of these books, hence why I got them. But either way, I just want to, as always, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and until next time.